Oh my god, that totally scared me. It wasn't enjoyable at all. Don't come at me. Hi, I'm Manga Captor and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a fun reading vlog for you. I'm going to be trying manga that is new to me. Some of these are volumes I've anticipated reading for a while now, and some have been suggested by you guys. And on top of that, all of these manga volumes I'm going to be trying for the first time are spooky. So this is a trying manga that is new to me spooky edition. And the first one I'm going to be trying today is Demon Prince of Momochi House. I really hope I like this shoujo because I bought volumes 1 through 6 without reading a single one. I really don't recommend doing this. I was just in a shopping mood and I binge bought these. So hopefully I like them. Hello reader friends, I am back with a reading update. Yesterday I finished reading the first volume of The Demon Prince of Momochi House, and it left off on a cliffhanger, so I felt like I needed to read the second volume, so I finished that one today. And overall my impression of this series is that it's alright. It's not bad, it's also not amazing. It's kind of just like junk food in a way. Think of a brand of chips that you like enough to keep eating, but it's not really your favorite, but also you're not gonna complain when someone brings it to the potluck. You know what I mean? This is a supernatural series that is about this young girl named Himari who inherits this house from her parents. She receives a will on her 16th birthday saying that she is now the owner of this Momochi house. And she actually doesn't know anything about her parents. She's been orphaned since birth, it seems like. So she doesn't really understand like the history her family has with this house, but she's eager to check it out. And upon entering, she notices that the house is already housing 3 people, 3 complete strangers. One of these strangers is Aoi, the boy on this cover here, and he is the owner of the house. He is the protector of the house. And he explains to Himari that the Momochi house exists between this world and the spiritual realm. And because of that, there are a ton of ayakashi scattered throughout this mansion. Some are benign and others are demonic and have evil intentions with our protagonist Himari. And despite all of these warnings from Aoi, Himari doesn't want to leave. She has become drawn to Aoi, and she starts to realize that she cares for him and that she also has some feelings for him as well, because this is a shoujo, so of course there's going to be a romance plot. And this series is a little bit cheesy when it comes to that plot. There's a lot of tropes, there's a lot of moments where characters bump into each other and fall on the ground on top of each other. Classic shoujo stuff. So you get to experience those kinds of moments in this story, but there's also lots of supernatural events that are going on. And I've got to say, I'm only 2 volumes in, but I actually do care a good amount about these characters. I'm not going to spoil the story in any way, but I will say that this story does a good job of intriguing you with characters' backstories, and it's hard not to have sympathy for them and wonder what's going to happen next. So overall, I enjoyed this. I don't know if I'd recommend it exactly just yet. I will have to read more of it later to see if it gets my stamp of approval, but for now I'd say it's decent. Also, another thing I forgot to add is that the art is okay. There are panels that are gorgeous and there are scenes in the story that are depicted beautifully, but a lot of the panels sometimes feel a little bit too bland. There's not a lot going on in the background, and there doesn't always have to be. I think sometimes manga backgrounds that are blank or more minimal can be impactful depending on what the story is trying to say, but it feels a little bit empty, which is a bummer because I would love to see more of this haunted supernatural mansion, and oftentimes it's just in the background and it's not very visually interesting. That might change in future volumes. I really hope it does. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this series, and now I want to move on to a different new series, and this was one that was recommended, and you may have already seen it in my previous vlog, and that is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. This has been out for quite a while, so this is not new by any means, but I have not read this. I have been intrigued by it, but I just never picked it up. And in one of my latest vlogs, when I was asking for recommendations, this series was brought up in the comments. So thank you to that person for recommending this. You know who you are. I really hope I enjoy this. I think I will. I like supernatural spooky stuff, and this seems to be just that. I also think the character design, just from looking at it initially, seems really fun and interesting. I feel like this series is going to have a lot of personality, so I expect that I will like this. And I have, as you can see, volumes 1 and 2, so hopefully I can get a good idea of whether or not this story is one I'll want to continue. But anyways, enough yapping. I'm gonna go ahead and get cozy with this volume, and I'll see you in the next clip. Hello again, and welcome to my little spooky corner that I've got going on back there. I am really getting into the October spooky Halloween spirit. I just recently finished the first volume of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. This manga takes a character from popular urban legends in Japan, and that is Hanako-san. There are multiple retellings of Hanako-san, but basically the gist of it is that it's Japan's version of Bloody Mary. And I remember when I was in elementary school, I actually tried to summon Bloody Mary, and it didn't happen. I was always that kid because I didn't believe in ghosts, and I still don't. I don't believe in any supernatural things, so it's like if I can see something, I would be pretty hyped to see it. That's my attitude. Anyways, that's a total sidetrack. So Hanako-san is this girl. It's unclear exactly what happened to her. There are multiple versions of the story, but she was in a bathroom when she met her untimely demise. And so the story goes that Hanako-san's ghost haunts the third floor's bathroom. Specifically, the toilet in the third stall is where she dwells. And if you summon her, she takes you to hell via a toilet. At least that's what one of the stories, or one of the versions of the stories, says. In the manga, it's not quite the same. It's very different. Hanako-san is a boy rather than a girl. And at least from what I know now, Hanako-kun doesn't take you to hell. Instead, Hanako-kun gives you a wish, but there's a price for said wish. And our main character, Nene, is this girl who has a massive crush on one of her classmates, so she summons Hanako-kun in order to get this person to like her back. That's all she wants, and she will do drastic things for her crush. I really enjoy the art style. I think the art style has a lot of personality. It's very eye-catching and fun. I also really enjoy where the story takes place. Oh my god. There's a fly going crazy. That totally scared me. Oh my god, bro, it's freaking out. It's like having a seizure. It's hitting all the walls. That better not be a bee. Can you hear that? Anyways, what was I saying? I was talking about how the school where this takes place is really interesting because there are all these really mysterious supernatural anomalies that occur, and our main characters discover them and try to save students from the clutches of said mysteries because there's kind of an imbalance going on at this school. With all of that positive stuff said, I don't 100% love the comedy bits in this. I am not a fan of raunchy comedy. I'm not a fan of innuendos and things like that, especially when the cast is young or young looking. You know, that's just me. But I will say that the characters are very charming and their personalities are strong. I love when I read a manga series for the first time and it just gives it to me. It tells me who these characters are. It really sells the story and tries to get me to empathize with the characters and care about them. So I feel like it makes a strong case for itself right off the bat, which I really enjoy because some manga series take a little bit of time to get good, but I can tell that this is entertaining from the start. But anyways, I'm pretty tired now because it is late and I need to go to bed, so I'm gonna go do that and then I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. It is the following day and I have some reading updates to share with you. Now, I know this isn't a manga, this is a manhwa, and it is definitely suitable for this spooky season, that is for sure. So I read this last night and I'm very proud to report that I had no nightmares. I literally read it right before bed and then closed my eyes. I really enjoyed this. I found it to be very interesting, very solid. I think what really makes this a strong story is the fact that our character knows what's going to happen. But before I get into that and how that affects the story, I'll explain the story first. So we have our main character, Dokja, who is this average salary man, and his hobby is to read web novels. In particular, he reads this one web series that is super long. For some reason, he's been reading it for 10 years. This man has immaculate patience. But anyways, this long series that he has been the sole reader of has finally come to an end. So he's reading this final chapter and it ends very abruptly in a very cryptic way, which catches him off guard. And right at 7 p.m, the world changes. The world becomes the story he's been reading for the past decade. And since he was the sole reader, he is the only one who knows how this story ends. So he's equipped with this knowledge and he's watching this unfold in real time and realizing, wait a minute, I've read this before, I remember these events. And if this is true, this is what's gonna happen next. And that's one of the strong points of this story. Because our main character knows what's going to happen, he is kind of giving us warnings wait, where is this person? This person was supposed to come in already, or this event was supposed to happen like this, what's going on? So then it creates all this tension, and us as the readers are you tell me, buddy, what is going on? And I really like that dynamic of this character narrating the story, knowing what's gonna happen while we're in the darkness about the whole thing. I also really enjoy that this world, when it transfers over from real world to fantasy web novel world, it kind of takes on this video game-esque feel. People are able to read menus people are able to see each other's stats. They also get special moves as if they were video game characters, and there's also like in-game currency. It kind of reminds me a bit of Villains Are Destined to Die in that sense, and I think it makes it pretty interesting. This is a very graphic series. It's very violent. I'll put all the trigger warnings on the screen. It's very intense. I really enjoy this. It's spooky, it's scary, it's gritty, it's weird, it's interesting, and I'm definitely gonna keep reading this. I'm glad I picked this up. I got this for $10 actually. At Half Price Books, please clap. But anyways, I have a really long day ahead of me. I just wanted to real quick talk to you guys before I am swept away in the winds of adult responsibilities. Oh, and then also I wanted to talk about like what I'll potentially read next. A lot of you guys recommended Junji Ito, and I went to my library to see what they have. They don't have much. I went on to the Libby service that they offer. There's also not that much. So I can choose between Love Sickness or Fragments of Horror by Junji Ito, and I'm really in the mood for some like genuinely scary reads after reading Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. So yeah, I'm gonna pick either of these. I'm not sure yet which one. I'm very much looking forward to coming back home and unwinding with a horror manga. But anyways, I really gotta go, like now, or else I'm gonna be late. I finished reading Junji Ito's story collection, Love Sickness. Also, if my voice sounds really groggy and just generally messed up, I have really bad allergies right now, so please excuse me. So Love Sickness is this horror manga collection, and I'd say that it's pretty good. However, the only one that's really worth reading in my opinion is the titular story, Love Sickness. I really enjoyed Love Sickness. That short story was so well done. Over time, I've become a big fan of horror manga, but I like a very specific form of it. So I don't mind gore necessarily, but I just can't really stand it when a horror story is a horror story simply because it's violent and gory. To me, that's not super creative, but Love Sickness was different in all of the best ways possible. Now, don't get me wrong, Love Sickness has a ton of violence and gore and body horror. I will place the trigger warnings on screen. Very important to be aware of those before getting yourself into this story collection. This titular short story is about this young boy who moves back to his hometown. He lived there when he was a child, and there is this seemingly harmless quirk about this town where people have the habit of standing at a corner and waiting for someone to meet them at the intersection in order to have their fortune told. People will stand there with their face covered, and the first person that comes up to them has to give them their fortune. So they'll ask them a question and often that question is, I really like this person, will this person like me back? And supposedly whatever your fortune teller tells you is what becomes your reality. And at first this seems like it wouldn't cause any problems, it's just a harmless little thing that people do from time to time. But people get obsessed because they hear that depending on the fortune teller you get, your life can truly change. The person that you love will love you back, and the things that you want will become yours. I think it was super strong. It makes sense that it's the titular story. The rest of the stories were okay. I will say there was one in particular that I absolutely did not like, and I don't remember the name, but it was about these siblings, and they are like very deranged psychopaths, and they basically just do really maniacal, terrible things, and it wasn't interesting because it played into the kind of horror stereotypes that I simply don't like because they're overdone and they're boring. It wasn't enjoyable at all. The rest of the stories were fine. One that stood out to me a little more than the other ones that were just fine was one about... I'm trying to remember now. Maybe it didn't really stand out that much. Okay, it was one about phantom pain. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting take. I thought it was scary and creepy, and I enjoyed it. It was short, but it didn't leave a long-lasting impression like Love Sickness did. Honestly, you could just read the first story, Love Sickness, and be done with this collection. It really doesn't need more of your attention. That sounds so harsh, because I love Junji Ito. I read his story collection Tombs last year, and I really thought it was great. So don't come at me. I do enjoy this author. I just think that there are better works out there that he has done. I think one that I definitely want to read, it came out somewhat recently. I think it's called Ally. It's on my October TBR. I think I'm going to read it during my spooky readathon, which will be in an upcoming video this month, so look forward to that. But yeah, this first story was really good, and it's gonna stick with me, and yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say. All right, I am rambling so much. I need to go. I have some things I need to do. And after I come back from doing said things, I will return to you with the next read, and we'll have fun with that. Hello reader friends, I am back with another reading update. I just finished reading the first volume of Natsume's Book of Friends. I've been wanting to read this series for a very long time. I've heard lots of people talk about this and mention how it's such a great supernatural series. It's able to blend these really eerie, creepy scenarios with warm, fuzzy feelings, and that just sounded really good. And this was recommended by a few of you guys, so I decided, you know what, I just need to try it finally. This might be my favorite thing that I've read in this trying new manga video. It's between this and Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, both of which are supernatural series. Who would have guessed that those would be the top two? But anyways, this was really good. I nearly cried 3 times. The tears were welling up in my eyes, but I was fighting them back, and honestly I don't know why, because I read this in the comfort of my own home and I could have enjoyed a nice cry. But anyways, this story follows our main character Natsume, who can see yokai. Yokai are basically spirits. They can range from being benign to kind to evil. It really depends. But Natsume can see all of them, and they are haunting him a lot recently. They have been chasing him in hordes, and he's not sure why until he bumps into this very adorable cat, Nyanko. Nyanko is this yokai and he's like, hey buddy, you've got yourself in this crazy situation, and do you know why? It's because your grandma was a bully. Your grandma bullied us all the time because she was so lonely and she had nothing to do. So Natsume's grandma was able to see spirits just like Natsume, and she decided it would be fun to play games with them, and these games involved bets. If she won, then the yokai would have to write their names down in what is called a book of friends, like the title. And this book of friends is basically a pact. Once their name is written down, she can summon them and they have to obey her. And as you can imagine, the yokai are pissed. They don't want their names in this book anymore, and Natsume decides to free them. But Nyanko, this cute little cat, is like, hey, that's like really dangerous. And so Natsume is like, okay, if it's so dangerous, then maybe you can help me. And in return, when I die, you can have the book of friends. So Nyanko is kind of motivated to be his guardian out of a seemingly selfish reason. But Nyanko is like the most cute, wonderful, sassy character. He can be such a jerk, but he can also be so loving and friendly, and he honestly makes this so fun to read. I just love the personality of the characters. Natsume is also a great character, and his actions and the way that he thinks and relates to people and yokai, oh my god, I nearly cried multiple times. So yeah, I'm really curious to keep reading this series. I love the premise. I think it's great. It's an interesting way to create an episodic manga without it feeling like boring or monotonous, because we get to see all these different yokai, different issues come about. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I am so happy that I picked this up, and I also enjoyed all the different manga series I read in this video. Let me know which one intrigued you the most. And if you'd like to see another video like this where I try out new manga, feel free to recommend me some of your favorite titles in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you want to watch more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps my channel. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!